Hi, I'm Matthew, Chair of the Faith and Belief Forum's London Youth Council and former parliamental myself. I recently sat down with the London Youth Council to talk about our upcoming Interfaith Youth Summit. We spoke about our own experiences of social action and what we've learned from them. We also discussed the role of faith communities in the fight against climate change, as well as young people's role in climate activism. We then talked about all the different options and opportunities available at the upcoming summit.
Hey, my name is Adish Wali, and I'm really honored to be on the Youth Council team. And I recently graduated with MS Management at City University of London from Base Business School. And previously, I was in the Parliamentist program from Coventry University, and we worked on a social action project in order to eradicate loneliness among the society during the COVID pandemic. And I'm really excited and looking forward for the Youth Interfaith Summit 2023, which is happening on 6th February.
Hi everyone, I'm Maria. I'm an aspiring barrister and a current bar student. I took part in the Parliamentals program in the year 2020 to 2021 during my undergraduate degree at the University of Nottingham.
Hi, my name's Tom. I currently work in Labour Party policy development, specifically focusing on tech policy and long-term risk. I previously studied at the University of Manchester, where I completed a degree in philosophy, and I also completed the Parliamentals MP programme, working for Labour MP Charlotte Nichols.
Hi everyone, my name is Ivy Gardner. I'm part of the London Youth Council and I'm so excited to be part of it. I'm excited to be on this podcast. I was a parliamenter in the 2019-2020 intake and it was such a lovely experience. I have since finished uni and did my master's, pursued the bar, currently working, and I'm really excited for the summit. So hope to see you all there and let's get right into it.
We are the Youth Council, so we're in charge of the Summit 2023, and we'll be going over why we think the Summit's important today, what we're hoping to get out of it, what might be on offer during the Summit, as well as talking about some wider issues. So without further ado, we'll throw it out to the group. Why are the Faith and Belief Forum's Youth Council doing an Interfaith Summit on climate change?
Well, climate change is an issue that has impacted many of our lives, and the effects of climate change are only going to get worse in the future, which many of the youth today will have to potentially face unless we put in a joint effort to tackle it. And I firmly believe that one way to combat climate change is through interfaith dialogues. That's because environmental care holds quite a significant place in many faith communities, and so such faith communities can actually play an important role in shaping attitudes towards environmental care, and that's how we can tackle climate change.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And also, obviously, yeah, it's unfortunate that sort of generations who haven't even been born yet will be quite strongly affected by climate change, which is something that we've caused, but they're paying the price for it, as well as the younger generation still around. I think I definitely agree. Obviously, this is an issue that affects sort of everyone, no matter what country or community or religion you're from. So we definitely need to take quite a collective approach in sort of finding solutions and finding the common ground to try and tackle this pretty serious problem.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Because it's people come from all different sort of cultures and religions, and actually events like this help bring different people together and work on this issue, which, and especially with the youth focus, we know that young people care a lot, and that different faiths are so motivated to work for social justice related issues, and climate obviously is one of the top issues right now. So it's so important, I think, that that we're bringing different faiths together to actually learn and grow our networks as well as young people, so that we're going to go forward with more sort of knowledge and more power in how we do the work.
Yeah. Yeah, and one more thing is that like we as a youth council, like we have an opportunity and a responsibility. As we are the youth members of the council in London, basically based in 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 one of the
is the biggest city and the global city of the world, where we have an opportunity to invite lo- uh, the youth of the city and the country in order to come and attend this event, and where we can discuss about the climate change, and where do we have plans, various sessions. So I guess this is like an opportunity where like we can propagate our vision and our agenda um and a responsibility to in order to fight for the climate change, and we can help through this particular summit where we can reach a bigger perspective from this one small movement from us.
Definitely. I guess it's nice and symbolic as well that this sort of stuff is happening in London, because I guess it's sort of like Manchester and London where the Industrial Revolution started, and that was sort of the, um, I guess, the point in history where we really began to sort of start burning fossil fuels and releasing a lot of CO2 in the atmosphere. So maybe there's symbolic value in having these sorts of conferences, sort of where the problem started.
I think another key point as well is considering faith itself. Faith has it plays a significant role in people's lives. It's something people identify themselves by. It's what shapes a number of people, and that in itself creates commonality and a common ground among people and individuals. So creating a room and an environment where people of like minds but of different faiths come together and meet together and work out or work through their similarities to tackle a problem that is not localized to one area but is global. I think will create such a massive impact. And through this, not only do we will we tackle climate change, but we also get to be aware of different faiths and sort of zero in on what makes us familiar, what brings us together, and how we can um, create a positive change, create a difference in a world that will not only last for our generation, but would be sustainable for generations to come. So I think this summit in itself, it's foundational. I think it's going to be phenomenal, personally.
Amazing. And then I suppose thinking about another aspect of the summit, so we've spoken a little bit about faith. It's also youth as well. So, what do we think that young people in particular can bring to this conversation about interfaith and climate?
I guess one thing is just a certain amount of energy. Like when you look at most sort of protest movements and social activists, they're young people who are out on the street and sort of trying to create social change. So that's pretty exciting. And I think also, yeah, I guess this energy comes from maybe like younger people having the biggest stake in this problem, because it's that generation which is going to be sort of most affected by it. So yeah, energy, excitement, and having a more personal stake in this issue.
I also think a fresh perspective. Uh, a lot of laws and what govern us today have been made by people that have grown up in a different era, so to say. And young people offer a fresh perspective. They offer sort of fresh ideas, fresh solutions as well, and broaden views on issues that we probably may have missed, or older people may have missed, or people of different, I don't know, backgrounds may have missed. So having young people, a diverse group of young people in one place sharing their perspective, I think that, as Tom says, adds a freshness, a sort of vigor to it as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Tom and Ivy, because if we just look around, we always see young people who are at the front lines of demonstrations. Young people care about these issues, they're passionate, so they're most likely to bring about change. And that's why it's so important to involve young people again and again in these issues, because that's how we're going to bring about change eventually.
Um, exactly. So basically, there's a lot of stuff that young people can add to this conversation. Yeah, so it's our futures, it's all of our communities, and I suppose, yeah, thinking about the event itself in that case, what aspect of the summit are you looking forward to the most in that case?
I guess one really exciting. I mean, yeah, I've heard the food's going to be really good, but I guess one of the really exciting things is just the people there. Like quite often with these sorts of events, you might have an idea of who you want to chat to, or like who you think your most valuable connection is. But I think it's often the case you just like bump into some random person at like the coffee stall, and then that turns out to be your most valuable connection, and then you like work on a new project together or get a job or something. Um, so I guess yeah, just like the kind of the more organic connections and like chance happenings of meeting cool people that you literally wouldn't have sort of otherwise met unless you were forced to be um, in a room with each other. I think that's quite exciting for me.
I think the panel that I'm most looking forward to is the climate change and inequality panel, because those two issues are quite big in the 21st century, but they're also very strongly intertwined. Um, because, for example, if you see, it's the people in the global south who are the most affected by climate crisis, even though they contribute the least to it. And similar divides exist within nations too. For example, in the UK as well, due to the profound structural inequalities that have been laid down by a long legacy of unequal power relationships. So I believe that that's very important that the youth today are made aware of the relationship, that we educate the youth today of this relationship so we can tackle this problem of climate change accordingly.
One of the main part what I'm looking towards the summit is actually meeting the diverse group of people who are coming to the summit, because I'm hoping that there are gonna be people like with different age groups as well, and as well as different faith and beliefs. So I guess this will be an opportunity. I guess in the breakout rooms, and even during the panel speaker event, and even during networking time, I guess we all will get an opportunity in order to speak to different kinds of person and understand their perspective about the climate change and inequality, and as well as what they think about the youth council as well, and also like uh, and how we can take this particular summit forward like every year, and make it more in a more better way, and also like make it more in larger numbers as well.
Um, one of the things that I'm really excited about is the range of different ways that we're offering actually for people to sort of explore explore the issue. So that's kind of why we structured it the way we did. That we have a main auditorium, which is going to be like a learning room, and we have our panels in there, so people can sort of hear from people that have sort of been there and done it a little bit before, and are sort of experts within the field as well. So that's really interesting. But then there's a skills room directly, so people are going to be able to focus on learning like practical steps that they can take into either their own communities or maybe with their families, their personal lives, and also a skills session about like influencing environmental policy. So I think that's really cool, and there even be a LinkedIn certificate available and stuff like that. I think that's really nice. And then yeah, based on what Adish was saying as well, like there's the chance for dialogue and connection with other people. So through that other breakout room, yeah, we're trying to get people to connect with each other. So learning skills and then connection. I think it's just a good range of ways to explore the topic overall, like in the way that you want to experience it.
I was just gonna say I agree with you, Matthew. I also um, think the skills workshop is going to be particularly helpful. I For me that's empowering, very empowering. Like all the breakout sessions or the sessions will be empowering in many ways, empowering in terms of knowledge and empowering in terms of skill as well. Because with the tools that are being offered in the sessions, nobody can take them away from you. If you know more about climate change, you're more aware, you're more prepared, and that will mean that you making a difference hopefully will spiral onto the next person. And if everybody's making a difference and teaching the next person to make a difference, we'll have a whole different looking world 10 years from now. But also with the skills session, it's not just equipping people with knowledge and saying, okay, you go and figure it out. We will be teaching or empowering the people that attend with the skills and the tools to use in their communities, as you mentioned, Matthew, to go and make a change, go and make a difference, and not just for nobody to see. I think it also helps to put it on your CV as well, that you've learned this skill, you're using this skill, and um, yeah, it's a skill you'll be able to build on. So in a sense, it's foundational for equipping people with skills, and for people that already acquired a skill in one sense or another, it helps to enhance or develop that skill by giving them more experience. And I'm excited for that.
Yeah, definitely agree about it being foundational, and yeah, obviously, like as Matthew pointed out, a LinkedIn certificate doesn't look bad, but if you if you invest in giving people, helping people develop their skills, then that's laying the foundation for future things that will happen partially because of that event, which is quite exciting. If you give like a bunch of young people training on social activism and campaigning, then I guess you get to at least claim some of the credit for the the cool protests they then start founding, or policy changes that they make. Not that it's about claiming credit, but um, yeah, still pretty cool.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's that positive ripple out effect. I'm hoping that if you try and do good stuff, basically try and do positive social action, I don't see how it can't lead to more good basically coming as a result of it. So um, that's kind of actually what I wanted to speak a little bit about, which was about like youth activism, social activism. Like think about your guys' experience of that a little bit. So do you guys have examples, I suppose, of times that you've maybe personally done some type of social activism or a social project or something like that? And, what did you enjoy about it? What did you think? What difference did it make? And maybe how did that lead you to the Youth Council as well, in particular, with the Faith and Believe Forum?
And I think I can start over with saying that, like, as I was parliamenter just before a year, before I come to the youth council as a member, so there, me and my team of Coventry Institute parliamenters, we worked on a social action project where we actually helped eradicate loneliness for the old age people in Coventry city. So we basically wanted to um, bridge a gap between the communities and help the old age people during the COVID pandemic, as it was a kind of a time where people were separated and isolated, and we tried to help out with providing certain like letters, kind of a mails, and bridging the gap between like youth and as well as the old age people, so that they have some kind of communication in terms of loneliness and isolation. And I guess like we were able to do a certain kind of achievement in that, because it was a pretty hard time in order to contact with different kinds of organizations and the groups like in Coventry, because even we all were locked up in our homes, so we had to just like be onto the dependent on the use of the online perspective, but we made sure and we tried to give our best in that particular segment.
That sounds like a really exciting project. I guess most of this youth councillors are former parliamentals, so maybe all of our social activism stories come from that. And yeah, mine definitely does. I did the parliamentary program a couple of years ago, and sort of my group decided to tackle the problem of sort of student illiteracy and leading to students basically not voting in elections. Which is, I guess, a pretty serious problem, because there's like lots of pretty compelling data which suggests that students, or just like young people, could decide the next government, but um, if they did voted, but if they did vote, but the problem is not enough students are voting at the moment. So yeah, we tried to tackle that problem with some events and some sort of grassroots campaigning type stuff, which was pretty fun. And I guess that's to answer Matthew's kind of second question about leading to the youth council, I guess that sort of led me to the youth council, because I think it got me more interested and excited about social activism, and I guess help develop some skills and experiences, which hopefully, I mean, I'm a new youth council member, but hopefully they can be put to good use for, the what's the phrase, the good stuff that we do that Matthew was saying. Yeah.
That was the exact phrase, the good stuff. Yes.
Maybe we should just call the summit like the Good Stuff Summit. I don't know.
Good stuff 2023. Easy. Sorted.
Speaking about good stuff, I think our action project sort of created a forum for good stuff to happen. We sort of tackled homelessness and the stigmas, or dismantling the stigmas attached to homelessness, and creating awareness around homelessness. And we started off, I did a couple of years ago, and halfway through a pandemic hit. So we had to switch things up a bit, which was a fun challenge in many ways, but it allowed for service users of homeless shelters to interact with students, with members of the community in the town I was doing my project in. And that was impactful in so many ways, because we got to hear stories, we got to break stigmas, and we got to create art out of it. So it was breaking stigmas through art. Um, and we then created a pamphlet with all the pictures we drew to break those stigmas, to tell people stories. And it was just a breath of fresh air in a very isolating world at the time. But also leading up to the youth council, one key experience for me has been volunteering at a women's center that sort of teaches English to speakers of other languages and refugee and asylum seeking women as well. And for me, that sort of introduced the joy there is in serving, in working together with like minded people to achieve a certain goal, a common goal, which is to help other people. And one of the joys of that experience was having ladies walk in that couldn't speak or could barely speak a word of English, and leaving making whole sentences, not in a day, but over time, making whole sentences and sharing stories of how they were helping their children with homework. And as Matthew mentioned earlier, it creates that ripple effect where you think, oh, I'm just teaching you to say my name is, or hello, how are you? How's your day been? And hearing it sort of trickle down to their children, and they have that, they're empowered to then help their children who will not have to go through the experiences they went through, because now they are empowered. And being part of that chain um, sort of encouraged me and spurred me on to volunteer or be part of the London Youth Council as well, because it's a joy that keeps on giving.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Definitely win the prize for most heartwarming amounts of good stuff shared so far.
Yeah, just touching upon what Ivy kind of said, we really do underestimate what the effect of our actions can be sometimes, because I do believe that social activism occurs at all levels. So, for example, you just going to a protest, just joining a protest, can mean that you're standing up against it, you're showing the world that something is wrong. Or like even just sharing a post on your social media, on your Instagram story, you might be educating someone of something they don't know before. So my message to the youth would really be just to go out and do whatever you can. If you can join a volunteering organization like Ivy, do that. Or if you can even just share a post on social media, do that, because you never know what the effect of your action will be. It's all good stuff. Just keep on doing the good stuff.
I don't know when good stuff became the mantra, but it's I'm happy with it. I think that's great. It's so nice to hear you guys' stories as well about like different positive actions that you've come in, and it like reminds you, you know, why we all got involved in it as well, because we all are trying to work towards there being more good stuff. Why not? Yeah. You know, like like it really doesn't matter from what I've seen about how sort of big or small necessarily the impact is, as long as it's going in that right direction. I think. So like I remember one summer holiday, like volunteering at a community centre and just doing a bit of tech support for like elderly members of the community that would just come in, and like it might just be showing someone how to use their phone a bit better or Microsoft Word a little bit better, but actually, you know, maybe that meant they could send emails to someone and get back in touch with someone, or maybe it meant that, you know, they were able to start FaceTiming someone that lived a long way away. You know, all these kind of little things, right? I just think it makes a difference, and it feels rewarding as well. That's the other thing. Like you actually feel you walk away from something, yeah, with a proper sense of pride. So I think, you know, it's yeah, good stuff. Enjoy it. Um,
Yeah, I think I definitely agree. Like a lot of these, I mean, a lot of the reason why this is exciting is because it feels sort of personally, satisfying, and you feel happy or yeah, positive about trying to um create positive change. Yeah, I applaud your patience for trying to teach the older generation to use an iPhone. My experiences with my grandma have, yeah, you clearly have a lot more patience than I do. But yeah, I guess that's why the summit will be also quite exciting, because I think it will just be like a really large group of genuinely pretty well motivated people, and um, yeah, I'd like to believe that all humans have goodness in them somewhere. But I guess like people probably definitely have it in different concentrations, and hopefully this summit will be a space where there's lots of cool people with high concentrations of sort of altruism and yeah, desire to make the world better, which is exciting. I'm trying to avoid using the word good stuff now. I think maybe we should have a swear jar for or something.
All right. Well, this has been a really interesting conversation, and I'm inspired listening to you guys speaking about the work that you've done in the past, and looking forward to the summit that's coming up. So, um, I'm just wondering if you all want to share a message to people about the summit who are going to come to the summit and meet the youth council and get involved in the evening.
Sure, yeah. I think what would my take home message be? I guess maybe a feeling like you should feel genuinely optimistic about your capacity to achieve significant positive change. And I think the summit could definitely be a starting place for that. Like obviously, I think it's sometimes quite easy to feel pessimistic about all the problems in the world, and obviously there's sort of suffering and death and injustice, but there's also like a bunch of cool people trying to tackle these problems, and the summit will be a place where lots of those cool people meet and I guess discuss ideas and plans and learn skills to try and make the world a better place. So yeah, maybe take home word is optimism and cool people.
Amazing. Ivy.
Matthew, I genuinely thought you'd say good stuff after Tom's take home message, but it was good stuff. Riding on what Tom said, I think my take home about the summit and the sort of feeling overwhelmed that there's so many problems in the world is each and every one of us has the capacity and the ability to make a difference. Earlier, Maria talked about, even sharing a post creates awareness and sensitization to the world about what's happening. And I'm just reminded of COVID time when just by sharing uh, there's such a storm created in the world of awareness and people being more open, people being more ready, sort of to break down what their unconscious bias is towards certain issues and willing to learn. And that happened because many people were talking about issues around the world. Many people were sharing their experiences. Many people were listening to the experiences being shared, and people were doing something about it. And I can't overemphasize how even just sharing something can create change, and a powerful change at that, because you might not know who's reading, you might not know who's learning, and who's also sharing the same message. That being said, as Tom mentioned, it's going to be a group of people, like minded people, willing to learn, willing to share, and willing to make a difference. So I think, yeah, it's going to be epic in a good way.
Very good stuff. Um, Maria, do you want to share as well?
Yeah, of course. So I would really just encourage everyone to come along because essentially change starts from you. So, youth activism, social activism, it has the potential to transform communities. So just come along. It's going to be a very educational and informational night. It's also going to be very fun, and it will bring different perspectives to light. Maybe you'll learn about climate change in a way that you haven't before. So please do come along and can't wait to meet you all.
Lovely. Just trying to find adjectives for good stuff at this point. And finally, Adish.
Yeah, I would want I would want to ask everyone to just use this opportunity as like a platform where they can propagate their idea, and also try to utilize the the panel what we have set up, the speakers what we've united, and we also do have the skills sessions, and we have the breakout rooms where we can explore our skills and everything. So I think it's an opportunity where the youth has something like what we are connecting in London. So this is like a very good opportunity to explore what you have, and as well as be part of something for a good cause, which is going to affect us, society, and the world in the long run.
Yeah, no, that's really nice. And I suppose the final thing as well is that's really important to say is that people can and should come no matter the amount of experience they've had thinking about climate change issues in the past or thinking about interfaith as well in the past. Is really just a chance for people from different communities, backgrounds, levels of experience within this topic to actually come and share knowledge. It's about uplifting each other so that we can continue to make positive change together. So it's certainly not to exclude anyone. We want everyone that's interested to come, and I think that's going to really be the tone of the evening. That's the point. That's why we have different options for people to engage with the issue in a way that will best suit them. So I think that's a really important aspect. And we also haven't mentioned when it is, which is a bit silly. People might be really interested, they won't know when it is. So it's the evening of the 6th of February at LSE in the new academic building. Um, yeah, would have been weird if we didn't include that, I think. Um, but yeah, I think that more or less is everything that we wanted to go through today. So, Ivy, Tom, Adish, Maria, thanks so much for being part of this podcast. This was the first in hopefully many youth council podcasts that are going to come up. Stay tuned, come to the summit, chat to us, find us online on LinkedIn, etc. We're cool people that like doing good stuff in the world. And that was our podcast. See you.